with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
And I get the feeling you've been cheated.
It is Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Dr. Jiaying Zhao, Associate Professor in the Department of Psychology at the University of British Columbia, on his study of unconditional cash transfers to reduce homelessness. Also on the program today, actor Sean Sharma, member of the SAG-AFTRA Negotiating Committee, on this ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike at a time when we were supposed to see new episodes of our favorite TV shows. Also on the program today, Proud Boy leader Enrique Tarrio sentenced to 22 years. So much for that theory that he was an informant. Also on the program today, former Biden aide Gabe Amo wins that Rhode Island 1st District primary, Democratic primary, meaning he is all but going to be the next representative from that district, beating his progressive challenger and about 10 other people. Also on the program, Saudi Arabia extends its oil production cut through 2023. Trump's lawyers' notes show that he was warned the FBI could raid Mar-a-Lago looking for those stolen documents. 60 activists indicted in a Cop City indictment, RICO charges. Sheldon Whitehouse files ethics complaint against Sam Alito. Russian missile strikes eastern Ukraine, killing 16 civilians at least. COVID hospitalizations are increased, but lab tests show that the booster should help with the new variants. New York Governor Kathy Hochul signs a law banning the union-busting captive audience meetings. And the Google monopoly trial, day 2, marks the first anti-monopoly trial of the internet age. And the FTC plans to file a suit against Amazon. Lastly, New York City starts its Airbnb and short-term rental crackdown. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us. Got a lot to get to today. It is
Hump Day. Woohoo.
There you go.
Yes.
Emma Vigeland with her patented trademark Hump Day.
Well, I didn't get to say it last week, because I was out. So
there you go.
I had a little more energy with it today.
Yeah, you seem really enthused about it. Also on the program today, again, in our fun half, we're going to be having another debate. Yesterday, we had what turned into an impromptu debate between me and a 10-year-old. And then we had another one with my son, who is also 10. And we're going to bring back the more composed and charismatic of the 10-year-olds that we talked to. And to be honest, I mean, with all due respect, there was only one 10-year-old who was really invited on the show. Mm-hmm. There was some people yesterday in the wake of this guy calling in to the program on our call line. I did a courtesy, and maybe I shouldn't have. because I'm not obligated to pick people out of the line. We have 25 callers.
Yes.
But this guy, tweeted at Matt and said, pick me. And I had him on. But maybe I'll go into, honestly, I don't want to spend much time on this, but that guy, Jesse Singal, called. And he kept releasing tiny snippets of our email exchange. And maybe someday I will go through this because it was the perfect representation of what my issue, and I think all of our issues are with that guy, which is I could take a snippet out of my email and it's true. It is not a lie. I typed those 2 sentences. But if you don't see the rest of the exchange and you just release 2 sentences here and 2 sentences there, what you do is you create a false narrative. And like you could see it even in like the people who came to his defense. It was wrong to invite this guy on and then yell at him. I never invited the guy on. There was no invite. In fact, at the beginning of the thing, he's like, I didn't want to call in or it was difficult. I'm like, okay, well, we don't have to do this. But whatever.
Yes.
But let's go past that because far more interesting, we're going to have Saul Seder is going to be back.
Yes.
And he's going to be armed with a lot of questions, and we're going to go at it hard this time.
Oh, yeah.
So no break on that. We will see. This is big. A custodial artist says, Emma, you have a copyright case against Good Morning America. Michael Strahan used your famous line, it's Hump Day. I don't know if you got...
Who said that, Sam?
We're in the money.
Okay.
Who said that?
And
Michael Strahan. He did.
So
That's interesting because, he's the Giant sack leader. And he's also a Good Morning America host.
Interesting. I did not know.
So it's a massive betrayal.
Yep, there you go. All right, let's get into this. We don't have too much time. We're going to be doing more stories on this. Emma's going to be speaking to someone there. We've done a couple interviews in the past regarding Cop City. And we had Jamie on Friday. She teased something that's going to go down with Cop City in the next couple of weeks. We're going to hear back from her as well. But yesterday, Georgia announced that there were 61 anti-Cop City activists who have been indicted under a RICO Act, starting from actions that started in July of 2020, even predating the existence of Cop City. Apparently, it was the same grand jury, though not the same prosecutor. In fact, one prosecutor resigned, I think, over the course of the summer, or because they didn't want to. They thought that the way this case was being handled was inappropriate. Same grand jury that indicted the RICO Act with the Trumpsters et al. Indicted these folks. We'll dig into this more, but here is Deshaun. That is their only name as far as I know. Editor of Southern Abolitionist magazine, Scalawag. And it is making their statement regarding what Atlanta is doing.
I think this is a really, really, really important moment, right? Because Atlanta sort of serves as a litmus test, right? To determine what is and is not doable or what is and is not okay. Because we have such a distinct and profound Black misleadership class, right? This Black elite class. And so in many ways, folks are sort of seeing that if Atlanta allows for something like a Cop City to happen, then it can happen everywhere else, right? So now we're seeing that Baltimore is proposing a Cop City that's being not only funded by, but also on the campus of an HBCU in the city, right? We see that happening with Chicago. We see it happening with Portland. We see that happening with a bunch of different cities around the country. And we will see it happening beyond the country itself, right? And so in many ways, we are witnessing Atlanta function as the city that helps to determine what comes next and what will be allowed in other cities.
It's also just crazy, too, because for all of the accusations of the prosecution against Trump in Fulton County, using RICO charges being a political one. This is the definition of a political prosecution, I would think, going after these kinds of protesters because they oppose the construction of this like police city for environmental and, defund reasons with charges, going after charges with activists. There were other charges that they leveled against them for essentially fundraising for their legal defense. I mean, they're throwing the book at these people.
You read the indictment and like somebody got charged with accused of furthering a conspiracy because they signed a document ACAB for all cops are bad.
The thing that I don't understand about this ultimately in terms of a RICO prosecution is what was the illicit thing that all of these, because you can be, if you're part of a RICO investigation, and these are all questions I have that, I think when time we're going to hear at least some of the answers. Whether they are legit or not, we'll have to find out. But the whole idea of a RICO thing is that you can be engaged in legal behavior for an illegal ends. And it's unclear to me here, what is the illegal ends? There was certainly some behavior that people could go to jail for. You can't throw a Molotov cocktail at, anybody for that matter, and not expect to have some type of repercussions in terms of that. And that makes sense. But the way that handing out flyers would have to be considered an illegal act under a RICO indictment is that the ends of that or the project that's associated with that would have to be illegal. And it's unclear to me how raising political awareness and politically fighting against a project or whatever it is an illegal act. Like, I don't understand what the illegal, I understand that I understand how to RICO act, because in the context of let's say the Trump indictment, the illegal act was the attempt to vacate a legal election.
Yeah.
And so there were things that they did that were legal, isolated. But I mean, can you imagine if a RICO statute was applied to what happened on January 6th?
Yeah.
There would be thousands,
Charlie Kirk.
About thousands, of thousands of people who would be round up in that. It seems to me.
But it's because they previously also charged, I think, many of the 61 in these RICO charges with domestic terrorism. I mean, that was a few weeks ago or months ago, right? So they're literally trying with all of their might, it seems to be, the powers that be in Georgia, to do whatever they can to stop these kinds of activists. And now they're going with RICO charges, which, to be honest, I mean, we'll have to look further into it, but it seems a little suspicious on the heels of this Trump thing.
Like I say, we're going to dig more into this. There'll be a lot more to talk about with this stuff going forward. First, in a moment, we're going to be talking to Dr. Jiaying Zhao, Associate Professor at the Department of Psychology at the University of British Columbia. They've done a 2-year-long study on the implications of direct cash transfers to unhoused folks. And we'll hear about that study in a moment. And then actor Sean Sharma will be here, member of the SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee, to talk about this now months-long SAG-AFTRA strike, 5 months long Writers Guild strike. But first, a word from our sponsor, one of Emma's favorites. Sometime during COVID, I discovered I had discovered this years and years ago, but I was always a little suspicious. But during COVID, we had a little bit of a toilet paper shortage. This is one of our sponsors. I used their product, and folks, I've never looked back again. I made that up myself. Of course, I'm talking about Hello Tushy and their Hello Tushy bidet. Has over 100,000 5-star reviews. You can see why millions of people who use the toilet Already love the Hello Tushy bidet. Every Hello Tushy bidet attachment comes with a 30-day risk-free guarantee and a 12-month warranty. This is one of the things that's amazing. But first of all, you can go and you can get like a $10,000 bidet toilet. I've seen those. They're amazing. But the process is more or less the same. You wash your bum with water instead of dry paper. And then you pat yourself dry. And you've never felt so clean, cooled off, all of it. It is, it's just the most civilized way to do this, frankly. And the beauty of the Hello Tushy bidet is that it requires no electricity. It requires no additional plumbing. If you know how to change your toilet seat, you can do this. And it'll take you maybe 10 minutes. And then for the rest of your life, you will feel very different about everything. A Hello Tushy bidet also pays for itself in under a year because you're going to cut your toilet paper use by about 80%. It is always Labor Day for your butt, ladies and gentlemen. You can save 40% off of all bidets and bundles by visiting hellotushy.com /majority. Use the promo code majority. Sale ends September 11th. That's hellotushy.com /majority for 40% off. Honestly, do yourself a favor. There's a 30-day risk-free guarantee. You're going to want to try this. And a 12-month warranty. We'll put the link in the podcast and YouTube description. All right, quick break. When we come back, Dr. Jiaying Zhao will be back. We are back. Sam Seder and Emma Vigland on the Majority Report. Want to welcome to the program Dr. Jiaying Zhao, Associate Professor at the Department of Psychology in the University of British Columbia, who has co-authored, if that's the right word, or co-led a study involving direct payments, or I should say unconditional cash transfers to homeless folks. Doctor, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Can you just outline for us what the what the study was? We've lost them. We can't hear you.
Did you hear? Could you outline for us what the study was? Were you able to hear that part?
No, I missed you for the last 10 seconds.
We lost your audio.
Okay, sorry. We're having some type of technical problems.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, sorry about that. So the question was, can you give us sort of the broad strokes on what the study was?
So this study was done in collaboration with Foundations for Social Change, it's a Vancouver-based charity, where we gave $7,500 to each of the 50 individuals in homelessness. We also had a separate group of 65 participants who did not get the cash transfer as a reference group. So we followed these people over 1 year to see how they spent the money, the impact of the money was on their lives. And overall, we were pleasantly surprised by these findings. We found that the cash transfer reduced homelessness by 99 days per person per year. And this led to cost savings for the government and taxpayers because people relied less on social and health services. And we calculated the exact cost savings. It was about $8,277 per person per year. So what this means is that the cash transfer is actually cost effective. It saved government money over 1 year. The net savings was $777 per person per year. And also another surprise was the cash recipients did not increase their spending on alcohol, drugs, and cigarettes. So this is contrary to what most people believe what they would do with the cash.
So, okay, let me ask you, when you say cut homelessness by 99 days, can you explain to us that dynamic?
Sure. So what we found was cash, they actually moved into housing quickly. By quickly, I mean within 1 month. That's when a lot of the cash recipients moved into stable housing. Whereas if you're, say, in a shelter in Vancouver, you had to wait 6 months on average to get into housing. So we found that over 1 year, cash recipients moved out of homelessness faster, and they moved away from shelters about more than 3 months earlier than people who did not get the cash transfer.
Can you give us a sense of, and we should say this is a specific segment of the unhoused population here, and we'll get to that in a little bit because we'll talk about the criteria for the study. But like this cohort in general, like how long are people unhoused generally? I mean, can you give us a sense of that? Because I mean, obviously, in terms of like the control group, I guess they're getting housing within 100 days later than the folks that had the money. But just broadly speaking, how long does this cohort of people who are unhoused generally stay unhoused?
So we asked people about their experiences in homelessness. And one of our screening criteria was they have to be homeless for less than 2 years in order to get into the study. But that's true for both cash and control participants. So at least what we know when we recruited these people is that they were homeless for no more than 2 years. So that's the background of our participants. Of course, as you alluded to, we had other screening criteria, and this is a specific subset of the homeless population. We recruited people who had no severe levels of substance use, alcohol use, and psychiatric symptoms. So in the shelter population, that was about a third of the people in the shelters who can qualify or eligible for our study. Now, the shelter population is only a subset of the broader homeless population in general. Right? So homelessness, our definition of homelessness is lack of stable housing. That includes people on the street, in the shelters, who are hidden homeless, so they're couch surfing or staying their cars. And the statistic from Vancouver says for every person on the street who's homeless, there's about 2 to 3 people who are homeless. So I think we're actually targeting a very small sample of the homeless population, given the constraint of our study. And I think we need to broaden that parameter going forward to include the broader population.
But at the very least, I mean, your study shows that, I don't know if this cohort is representative of 1/6 of the homeless population, or 1/5, or 1/7, or 1/8, whatever it is, that folks who are within this cohort, measured by this criteria, can do much better with direct cash transfers, and B, save the government or the entity that's providing, in this case the government, save them monies. All right, I'm sorry. We're having all sorts of. Forgive us. We're having a little bit of technical issues, but go ahead. We can hear you.
Can you talk a bit more about some of that paternalism when there are requirements for, say, being clean before certain services are provided, and why those methods have tended to be counterproductive in a variety of different cities? I know that in the United States there have been some, but if you could speak to Canada at least. I'm sorry, hold on one second. We can't, our audience, for some reason we're having technical difficulties. Our audience can't hear you now. We're going to have to, I'm afraid we're going to have to pick this up at another time. Can't We're so quite sorry.
figure out what we're having issues on our technical end, but we will circle back and catch up with you on this. Again, apologies. And we will put a link to your study and some of the Twitter threads there once we get this out. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, and we will swing back to you. Bye-bye. Folks, we're aware that there is, you could not hear the guest. Hopefully you can hear me. Do we know what's going on?
I think we could
Ping
hear,
just
well, we could hear most of it, right? It just was towards the end.
at the end. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, so.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and hopefully we'll, our next guest, yes, we're getting IMs to this effect. We understand that you could not hear the guest, and we're going to try and rectify it. We'll be right back with hopefully actor Sean Sharma, member of the SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee, and we will get back with Dr. Jiaying Zhao in the future on that study. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. Just want to apologize for the technical difficulties we had in the last segment. Hopefully we resolved those, and want to welcome to the program actor Sean Sharma, a member of the SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee on the ongoing strike. Sean, we've talked to, and I should say full disclosure, I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA myself, and we've talked to a couple of people over the course of the strike. Give us an update as to where we are. And you're on the negotiating committee, so presumably if there's been any sort of like subsequent meetings or negotiations, you would know. Tell us about those or not.
Yeah, we haven't heard from the AMPTP since July 12th when we walked out of their offices and declared a strike the next day. I don't know how they've been spending the time, but what we've been hearing from other sources in the press is that they have been squabbling amongst themselves trying to figure out how to get back to work. I don't actually see how the AMPTP can continue to function as one unit, I think that the companies are going to have to break apart and negotiate separately, because you have three buckets of companies that have completely different business models now. So it's not like the industry was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You've got traditional broadcast networks that need to sell advertising on linear television in order to make a profit. You've got the streaming versions of that are on unsustainable business models, all trying to chase Netflix by predatory pricing their content, and then now they have unprofitable business models. And then you've got these e-commerce giants like Apple or Amazon that use our artwork as advertisements for toilet paper or iPhones. So they can actually take a loss on all of our entertainment product and still make a profit as a whole. So I don't know how those companies reconcile those differences, especially in this really competitive environment.
This has been fascinating to watch the narrative of these two strikes. Because we're watching the writers and the actors now. Their strikes are concurrent. The writers have been on strike for 5 months now, and actors, I guess, more or less 2. The early in Act 1, if you will, of this strike, we saw leak after leak from the producers. Sometimes they were just sort of like news reports from places like Variety and other trade magazines, who obviously need to maintain, maintain the sweetness of their beats, as it were. And the idea was like, we're going to starve the writers. We're going to break these unions. And it has really changed, because this was sort of inevitable. That what you just described has never existed before, the fracturing, because you've always had like, okay, I'm Sony, I'm MGM, or I'm 20th Century. I might have a slightly different sort of game plan and have more of this product than that product, or relying on this and that. But these are three fundamentally different business structures you're talking about. Talk about the solidarity amongst the union members, because I was in the Writers Guild when the last Writers Guild strike happened, and it was pretty fractious. That seems to be completely different this time.
Well, the AMPTP in one way has done a really good job of teaching us how to be good at striking them by reducing our ability to make a living to the point where most of us are used to being out of work for long stretches of time. And when 87% of our members can't even qualify for the health insurance qualifying threshold of $26,470, 87% of our union can't even make $26,000. So we're used to surviving through lean times. And so all the AMPTP is doing is causing economic carnage to the economy, to the California state economy, they're salting the fields that their businesses grew from and making it so that people are leaving the industry or, going through traumatic experiences right now, putting our crew through all of that, who are not striking, who are not part of this battle, but they are affected by the battle, and all of the support companies that are part of the industry. So yeah, it's really unconscionable what we're witnessing, and the AMPTP has never faced a strike by SAG-AFTRA on this contract. The last time we struck was 1980. That was before the AMPTP existed. They actually were formed in response to our gains in the 1980 strike and negotiations. And Nick Counter was the first leader of the AMPTP, and there was never a strike under his tenure at the AMPTP. But as soon as Carol Lombardini came in, we had the writer's strike of 2008. We almost saw IATSE go on strike a couple years ago. And now you've got both the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA on strike. So Carol is just not a good negotiator on behalf of the studios and networks. On the one hand, she's impoverished us, and so she's made $3 million a year as a salary to attack labor. But on the other hand, now all of labor in entertainment is in open solidarity and revolt. So I don't think that she's the right person for us to communicate with, and I would much rather deal with the CEOs directly.
What just walk us through some of the issues that are the sort of the primary issues that we're still on the table back in July.
Well, there are so many primary issues. That's part of why we're so far apart at the negotiating table. This is really the first negotiation that our union, that is the merger of SAG and AFTRA, is utilizing its strength. And that's because we had some internal organizing to do before we could really unify in this way. We represent 13 different professions behind the microphone and in front of the camera. So our issues need to serve singers, they need to serve dancers, stunt performers, voiceover actors, background actors, principal actor performers, puppeteers, pilots. So there are so many types of members that we need to serve that I would never want to prioritize in a way that says a smaller category's needs are not as important as the rest. But some of the issues that have been getting the most attention are existential issues like artificial intelligence, where they want to scan you and never hire you again and just use your digital replica without compensation, without consent. Other things like our pension and health plans, which are one of the reasons you join a union, is for benefits. And the fact that our pension and health plans don't cover many people and they're underfunded is a really big problem, because the thresholds that the employers make contributions have not been raised in 40 years, so our plans are underfunded. We've also got the issue of our scale minimums, where we're not even asking for a raise. We're just asking to keep up with the hyperinflation we've seen over the last 3 years, and their offer to us would have locked us into 2020 buying power until 2026. So we're not even trying to get ahead. We're trying to get back what we've lost over the last 40 years and just get back to a sustainable situation.
Can you talk more about that AI element? Because I know that that's gotten a lot of attention, but I'm curious what that proposal of scanning someone's likeness and as a background actor and then essentially being able to use them for the rest of time, what that signaled to you when in dealing with the studios of how little they value the actors that are making their work kind of robust and vibrant and putting their labor in because they love art.
I think there is a sociopathy and a arrogance about the corporate culture right now that really only values two parties in the process: Wall Street and the shareholders and the CEOs. The rest of the organization is expendable, but if the CEO can maximize short-term profits so that the shareholders can increase their wealth, that seems to be driving the ideology of these companies. And that's what we faced across the bargaining table, where they will look you in the eyes and they will say that we want to own your likeness and your voice as a digital replica, including your mannerisms, everything that uniquely makes you, your musculature, how your body moves, all of that. Jet Li came out and said they wanted to own his martial arts moves so that they could use that in digital replicas that may not even be of him. So they really want to own everything that makes you a unique, valuable human being, and then own it in perpetuity, including after you're dead. And that way, they can use you whenever, you never age, they can make you younger, they can make you older, whatever. And so we are in the sci-fi reality where they literally can replace us. It would actually be cheaper for them to murder all of us and use our digital replicas for all of future projects. That's the financial incentive that they are creating. So we walked into the negotiation with 10 years of experience dealing with AI issues stemming from video games, because that's when they started using these things in like sports games of athletes in NBA games and NFL games, things like that. And we came in with a very fair, robust AI proposal. And over the 5 weeks of our negotiation, they kept trying to rewrite it with loopholes that they could take advantage of to take advantage of our members and made it really unsafe for us in this negotiation. So the ultimate solution is going to have to be that we have to own our name and our likeness and our voice. We have to be consulted before it's used in any way, shape, or form. There has to be proper compensation. You can't extort that consent at the time of employment when it's like, well, either you can take the job or not. It has to be at the time of use when you've already done the job and now they're going to use it for something and you have the leverage in that point of, at that point. So it's about informed consent. It's about compensation. That's what we're fighting for.
Oh, so to be clear on that AI proposal, down the road, I could do voiceover work or I could do acting work, and they could come back to me and say, you know what, we think that we can exploit your likeness and your voice in future productions. We're willing to. Here's the new. It's basically a new deal.
Yeah, you've got the leverage because they want to use your name and likeness. They want to use your voice. which has so much value. I mean, we go to the movies because we enjoy the artistry of human beings. And so it is completely within your right and my right to say, you know what, if you think you can get a good product out of using my voice clone, out of using my digital replica, and I don't need to come to your set and work, as long as you're willing to compensate me properly and you think that's going to work for you, it's a free country, do whatever you want, but at least make sure you're taking care of me. But we cannot allow a situation where without even consulting with me, they put me in scenes, in films, in projects, in video games where I could be killed, I could be the victim of sexual crimes, I could be naked, whatever. I need to be informed about how my digital replica is going to be used, and I need to have consent about that use and fair compensation.
There's stories out today about Warner Brothers having lost hundreds of millions of dollars as a function of I should be clear on this. Warner Brothers Discovery expects earnings to be losses to be somewhere between $300 and $500 million, and they say predominantly due to the impact of the strike.
And that's just 4 months. That's just 4 months. And that is 10 times the amount that they would have to pay if they just accepted the Writers Guild demands on, and everyone on strike. How
much of that, though, and we should also say, it now predicts earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation and amortization for 2023 in the range of $10.5 to $11 billion. So money's coming in. But how much of this is also, for some of these entities, they made billion-dollar bets on these streaming platforms that no one is watching except for maybe a show here or there. And the value is that, I as a consumer, I can go and I can watch Suits and it can explode 10 years after the fact. We should say the Suits has gotten something like 1 billion views in the past, just like a year or two. And none of them who worked on that show in any capacity have seen a dime from that, which is just insane. They
got us to accept something decades ago that we absolutely need to change. And that is when the employer wants to just exhibit our work in a new way, they make us come to the bargaining table and discount ourselves just to have jurisdiction. But doesn't change the work that I do, whether I'm working on a show that's going to go on TV, going to go in the movie theaters, going to go on streaming. What the work I do is the same. How you choose to exhibit it shouldn't affect my ability to make a living as your employee working to create this value for you. But somehow we accepted this perverse situation where, sometimes you sign a contract and it says, throughout the universe with technologies, now or not yet invented, blah, blah, blah. We need something like that in our contracts, because every time there's a new technology, they use it as an excuse to nickel and dime us to death to basically subsidize their development of a new exhibition platform. And so that has to stop. They absolutely destroyed the business model, all trying to chase the Netflix model, which was already based on predatory pricing subsidized by Wall Street, because they were willing to let Netflix take billions of dollars of losses to grow their market share. But you can't operate an industry that way. And so everybody saw that Netflix was trading at a much higher multiple because they're seen as a technology company, not as a traditional boring TV network. So they all wanted to chase that higher share price. Now they're at a place where Wall Street is saying, now we want you to actually be profitable. So they're claiming poverty, even though they're still raking in billions of dollars, because now their business plans say that they need to rein in that obscene spending. And they don't want to share the viewership data, because you're right. They're probably going to expose that they've spent all this money on stuff nobody's watching. You can't buy quality. You have to just do your best to create great art. So you can throw billions of dollars at stuff. Doesn't mean you're going to get a hit TV show. So it's we're in a tough situation, but what we're not willing to accept is for them to get out of this mess off of our further sacrifice, off of our backs. There really is not much left for us to give, which is why we're walking in circles on the streets.
Do you think that the producers, the producers, it seemed to me and I remember this during the writer's strike, it was a great opportunity for executives who had made big missteps. And in this instance, some of the missteps are just, massive. With all due respect, we used to be carried on Peacock. Nobody watched. And I'm quite convinced that's, there's a couple of shows I'm sure people watched. on there, but broadly, like, I think if they could unload this thing without, a massive loss, they would do it. But things like, we greenlit this project because we thought, Jim Belushi's comeback is going to be massive, or whatever it is. They have traditionally used these strikes as a way of sort of getting out of these commitments that they have made and sort of clearing the deck, because it's like a sort of a force majeure type of situation. We've cleared the deck, and now we're going to get back on this. Do you think that they underestimated the solidarity? They underestimated, like, they thought, like, oh, we'll do this for a month or two, and we'll clear the decks. We'll get back to, sort of a starting point. I've got my ass covered with the board, and everything's going to be fine. Do you think that's what this was? Is it just a huge underestimation of the solidarity amongst the unions? They thought they could sort of, at one point they were releasing what they had done, because it seems to me their strategy is, we're going to pull apart the Writers Guild because in the past they haven't had as much solidarity. And then when we pull apart the Writers Guild, we can get them to fold, and then that'll make the actors cave. But none of that has gone down in that way. Do you think they're running around now going, like, trying to figure out who to blame in these boardrooms?
I think that they only have the capacity to blame their employees for their mistakes. Every step of the way, you've seen them blunder in the press. They've tried every which way to scare our members, to threaten our members, leaked things to the press during negotiations, even threatened one of the members of our negotiating committee for never being hired again by the company that he had been employed by. And it made the rest of us feel like we're probably on some blacklist now with all the studios just for advocating as volunteers in this room for our members as part of the labor process. I think that they were caught off guard by actually being held accountable for their behavior. I don't think it's dissimilar from the 2008 recession, where Wall Street was bailed out by the public for all of their bad bets, and only one poor person went to jail, and all the rest of them got off scot-free, and I think even got bonuses in many cases off of the bailout money. I mean, that's the kind of criminality mindset that corporate America seems to be consumed by, at least the companies that we're dealing with, that really want us to be left holding the bag. And somebody like Bob Iger, who went out to the billionaire summer camp and has never stepped foot in our negotiations, had the gall to say that we were being unrealistic and being unreasonable. And when the other journalists asked him why he was saying that, you remember what he said? He said, "I can't answer that." That was an honest answer. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know the issues. He hasn't been in the room to hear our testimony about why we're having these experiences on set and how we can't make a living and people are getting injured and all these things. So I think it's arrogance which is in their way. And instead of actually owning their mistake, they are choosing to threaten us and try to impoverish us. And they certainly weren't expecting SAG-AFTRA to be strong, because SAG-AFTRA hasn't struck in 43 years. So they thought that they could continue to just weaponize our passion against us because we love what we do and we're so lucky to be actors. And they have no respect for the work it takes to create the profits for them, and how it's a very teeny tiny small minority of less than 1% that are the big A-list invincible stars. The rest of the people, including many of the name actors you see on TV shows, do not have the leverage to protect themselves from some of this predatory behavior by these companies. And so they really underestimated not only our solidarity, but also, since the Writers Guild went out a month before us, our members were right there on day one marching with them, and we bonded with the other writers on those picket lines, and their problems became ours and ours became theirs. And so we're much more solidified. And then the Teamsters, IATSE, LIUNA, IBEW, all these, even DGA, even though they have a deal, have been out there on the line showing their support. So they really underestimated us, and now I think they're stuck, because if they try to address it, and if they have to admit that they made a mistake, what will that do to their brand image? The one thing that we have not done yet is call for a consumer boycott. But if the most famous faces on the planet said, stop, cancel your subscriptions and stop going to see their movies, we could nuke them and destroy their share price overnight. And that's not what we want to do. That's why we haven't done it yet. But if they can't make a fair deal with us, if we need to replace our employers with employers that actually care about their employees, we'll be left with no other choice.
I mean, it's that is the sort of the new option, but it has to be reconstructed, right? I mean, people
Listen,
are
we
going to
saw
want
earlier
this
this
stuff.
year with Bud Light, with Target, we saw how even one event could reduce billions of dollars off of their share prices. And so if we need to hold these CEOs accountable, let's have them face their shareholders after seeing a 30, 40, 50% drop in share price.
What do you think, what's going to, I mean, I don't want to ask you, like, what's the date when that happens? Although I'll tell you, we have a lot of people who write in and want to know when they should do that. Obviously, you're not going to say that. But what do you have a sense of how this might go? Like how, like at what point it becomes like that's where we've got to go with this?
Yeah, I think it's very clear. The Writers Guild are in there right now. I mean, they've been waiting for a response to their August 15th counter proposal to the AMPTP. But the writers are currently in negotiations with them. If those talks fall apart, and if we go back in, and again, they won't deal with us fairly and respond to our concerns, that will probably be the trigger point for us to have to go nuclear and replace them. But there's also another thing happening, which is these employers really control two things. They control financing and they control distribution. There's a lot of places to get money, and there's a lot of new ways to distribute content now. We saw that the Twitter alternative Threads gained 100 million users in 5 days. That's bigger than a lot of the subscriber counts at some of these streamers. So these AMPTP companies do not have forever before we replace them. They're not irreplaceable. We are irreplaceable. They are not. We can find money. We can find distribution with technology, but you can't find unique artistic human beings that provide the value that we provide.
All right. Lastly, let me just ask this question because somebody had asked it here in terms of the idea of residuals. Mm-hmm. Can you explain to people who have not worked in a business where it's like you're going, it's almost like you're going to the casino every day on some level, and you're not getting paid to go to the casino. And you don't know when your next sort of win's going to be in this type of business. I mean, obviously, will you explain the theory behind residuals, why it's so important, even though you aren't doing theoretically extra labor if the show's a success versus not?
Yeah, an average performer is not on a series where they are having a weekly salary and they have a commitment for 6, 8, 10, or in the old days, 25 episodes. Most of our performers work for a daily contract or a weekly contract, and you'll only work a handful of times a year if you're fortunate, and you don't know how long that job is going to last. So when you're working for a day rate of, say, $1,100, which is roughly what our day rate is, that $1,100 may be one of 10 jobs you book that year, which is why you can even book 10 of those jobs and still not qualify for health insurance. But the way that people would qualify is because you share in the profits of the show when it airs and when it's successful. And so we depend on the continuing payments of the reuse of our performances to sustain ourselves in between being on set and actually getting the day rate or the weekly rate when you're on set. So it's been a huge target for our employers to attack the residual model because they want to keep all of those profits when they are re-airing or they're seeing a show blow up or something. So we have seen our residuals formulas decimated, especially as we've gone into the streaming era. Just to get jurisdiction, in some cases, we allowed them to not have to pay us residuals at all for a particular period of time, or even for certain shows that were grandfathered in that didn't pay residuals. So it's eroded our ability to sustain ourselves in between jobs because we were supposed to participate in that. Not unlike an inventor would have a royalty that if you were to buy their invention and sell it, they would get a small piece of it every time you sold one of their widgets or something. That was the deal we were able to make because we work for such short periods of time, and that's just the nature of the business. But it's actually worse than that because the way the corporations, these AMPTP companies over the last few years, they've started to do something called crediting. And what that is they will actually hide in your contract when you're working for your initial compensation, when you're shooting a show, that they're advance paying your residuals hidden in your compensation. So you think you're getting $10,000, but 5,000 of that is an advance payday loan against your future residuals that you are going to count on to qualify for health insurance, to be able to pay the bills. So they have found every sneaky which way to try to reduce the compensation we get, eliminate our residuals, make us get it all up front so we don't get it later when we need it. The residuals are one of the central issues that we are striking over.
And I should say, I think the analogy with the inventor is really apt, because for every one invention that they sell, they have made 20 others or 30 others, and you times that times tens of thousands of actors who go in and give producers the opportunity to choose which one of these actors is going to best represent in the vision of the show.
That's right.
All
There's a
of
snowball
those people
effect.
we're not getting paid for that labor.
That's right. It's the snowball effect. If you work a lot, then over time, your residuals income starts to help you out, especially as you get older and there's less roles for you as you get into your senior years. Like, you depended on the residuals in order to help even out the highs and the lows. But when they're going away, we're getting 1 cent or 2 cent residual checks. And the reason for that is because the Writers Guild and the Directors Guild, they adopted this distributors gross receipts model, where if I sell you my movie to Netflix for $1 million, I owe 20 grand of that to the director. I owe 20 grand of that to the writer. Not a bad payday for a director or writer. But when I have to split 6%, which is, 60 grand amongst 200 performers on a show, they're not going to see much of that $60,000, especially if we have to take 20% out of that 60,000 just to pay the health and pension plan, where ultimately we're paying our own pension and health contributions out of that pool. So there's been all of this fancy accounting, all of these legalese things that for artists who just want to do their art have been essentially the frog that's boiled alive in the pot. Like, just over years, we've seen all of these things erode our ability to make a living, which is why we're asking for a new way of being compensated in this negotiation called revenue share, which means, the producer pays the residuals. When I, as a producer, sell my show to a network or a streamer, I am responsible for paying the residuals to the performers off of the income that I get. But the actual streamers that are exhibiting our work, we're asking for 2% of their revenue based on the economic value of our show on their platform every quarter. So if we can show that, XYZ show generated so many subscriptions, so much in advertising, all of this stuff, that it generated $50 million in this first quarter for, let's say, Warner Discovery, then they're going to have to give 2% of that to the talent pool that was in that show as like a new way of compensation on top of whatever the smaller residual payments are. But we want to participate in the profits that are being made off of the subscriptions and the advertising that goes on streaming platforms where currently we don't.
So, for example, if you guys signed that deal, made that deal, and Suits continued to explode, for just as an example, those actors would then start to see participate in part of that success.
It depends, because it depends whether we're able to negotiate going retroactive. Because one of the things you have to deal with at the table is this starts today or this starts in 6 months.
Yep.
It's not going to cover everything that's happened up until this point. So it really depends what we can get the studios and networks to agree to. But generally what we've seen happen in the past is they say, okay, starting upon the ratification of this contract, any new episodes, new seasons, new shows, this point forward would benefit under these new terms.
All right. Well, I guess we will see. What can folks who are not members of the union do to support you guys at this point? I think everybody's waiting for that word. Cancel your subscriptions. Folks can do the same thing that the executives do. We'll clear the decks for a couple of months and then start it up again. But prior to that, what can folks do to support the union?
There's so many things people can do. I think one of the most important things that is systemic change is education. Learning about labor unions. When I was going through high school, and I went to a really good high school in Wayzata, Minnesota, I never learned about labor unions. I didn't learn that we enjoy the weekend or 8-hour work days or things because of labor unions. I didn't realize people died, and that's why we celebrate Labor Day, because people fought against the corporations and people were murdered for protesting. So there's a reason why, I guess, in my public education, I wasn't told how to fight the man. But I think it's really important for laborers to know that you have power when you collectively bargain, that you really don't have the leverage as an individual, so you have to band together with others. And we see that happening all across the country these days, where workers are waking up to their rights. I think the pandemic also opened our eyes about, do we want to continue living the same way we were before the great shutdown? And we had time to consider whether we were in a toxic relationship with life. And so I think the learning about labor unions, divorcing it from a left versus right discussion, but just talking about the balance between corporate mandates for profit and employees' ability to make a living. That is one thing people can do. The Entertainment Community Fund, the Motion Picture Television Fund, and the SAG-AFTRA Foundation are 3 charities that are right now supporting crew and performers who are out of work right now, and writers. So please donate to them. Every penny counts, because they can then help those who are out of work. So those are 2 things. And I think the third thing is just, please spread the word. Please, be ready to support us if we call for a consumer boycott, because we're actually on the front lines of everybody being replaced by AI. If we don't make this stand now, we already know they're coming for so many other professions. And so this is kind of the initial stages of a discussion of, where does humanity fit in a world where we are increasingly obsolete? And we're not obsolete to each other. We're obsolete to business if they can replace us with something that is cheaper, that doesn't need to eat, that doesn't need a home, that doesn't have feelings, that never gets tired. We're on the frontier of like the crazy sci-fi future, and we're visible people that are on the shows and movies that got us through the pandemic. If there's any point in history where our value is more clear, it is right now, and you're seeing them do it to us.
Sean Sharma, SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee, as well as work on The Chosen and other shows. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Great.
Really appreciate the invitation. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break and head into the fun half of the program, wherein I will have a debate with a 10-year-old that could involve things like bedtime or, TV watching, or what we're going to have for dinner tonight. But we will see.
Crossfire.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to bring it back.
You gonna wear a bow tie?
No, I don't have that bow tie anymore. That was a prop. But I had it back in the day.
Was that the only time that you really ever in earnest bought outside of wearing a tuxedo, wore a bow tie?
I think I worked as a waiter at a place where they required a bow tie. And so that's why.
Did you have to sing?
No.
But
I think that's why I had it.
Yeah.
So I had the bow tie. Like every idea I've ever had was just me looking around wherever I was living or whatever I was carrying and saying, like, what do I have? And that's what gave me the idea.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh, I could pretend like I'm Tucker Carlson. Do folks remember him?
We were just talking about that when you were out. It's incredible how
he's breaking important news.
The machine makes the man. It's the same thing that happened to Bill O'Reilly. No one gives a crap anymore. Megyn Kelly? No one cares.
You guys are all in denial about his big scoop about Obama being gay.
Do we have a clip from that?
I can look for one.
That guy, incidentally, I saw him talk about this with somebody. I can't remember the first interview. Like, he did an interview with somebody. And it was with Adam Carolla, I think. He did an
another journalist.
He did an interview with Adam Carolla where he said, like, it was quite clear that Obama was gay and doing
quite clear.
And he cited this dude, and he said he took a lie detector test, and it turned out that the guy did take a lie detector test. The problem was he failed.
Oh,
yeah. Well,
sad.
It says enough that you're willing to take one loudly that you don't even need to find the results. And also, lie detector tests, like they're not
infallible.
Accurate, yeah.
But
I thought they were going to parlay it into their incredibly racist conspiracy theory about Michelle Obama being.
Oh, that's definitely beneath the surface. That's why that's the case. Like, Obama needed
And the other thing beneath the surface is that they think he's hot.
Obama.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to discuss this and more in the fun half. Remember, folks, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member at jointhemajority.com. When you do, you not only get the free half free of commercials, you get the fun half. And you not only get the fun half, but like if you you get the app, which is free, everybody can get the app at majorityapp.com. You can IM the show. You could send in an IM like 502 Drew. Are you going to have a debate with a 10-year-old? Or are you going to get absolutely roasted by a 10-year-old like you did yesterday?
Woo!
Somebody's putting double thumbs up over there from the peanut gallery. Emma.
Yes.
ESPN.
Tomorrow's, biggest episode of the year, probably. Bradley and I.
The FIBA championships.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're actually adding an additional element to our season-long competition. You'll have to tune in to find out. NFL season starts tomorrow, so mega episode of ESPN once Bradley returns triumphantly. YouTube.com/ESPN show. Can't wait for Thursday Night Football. Detroit Lions, interesting choice, versus the champion Kansas City Chiefs.
Gay Obama IMs. Let me be queer.
That's a very good one. That's very good.
I want to plug that last answer of Sean's, which I thought was very good about, there's all this agonizing over men don't know how to feel empowered or whatever. And it's like, it's not just a men problem. It's all of that stuff, which is sticking up for yourself against the man, is bleached out of our understanding of history. And also, speaking of Zeta, that's one of the schools in Minnesota that pulled its school resource officers, which we'll get to in the fun half. But anyway, last night, Robert Scavarla came on. We're talking about spying on activists, which is very apropos given the Stop Cop City thing. And also, David Griscom gave a big, long update on the Paxton impeachment case. We talked about that for about 45 minutes. So check that out. Patreon.com/Left Reckoning for the postgame.
What did you say first? That like men don't feel empowered? Is that what your intro to that was?
Well, I was quoting other folks. Yeah.
Well, it's just so funny that you say that because like honestly, most women feel disempowered to speak about that.
Please, you're so empowered.
You sometimes I've said this before. I've had to fight gears in my brain to tell me to like not be so opinionated, not put myself out there so much because that's unattractive. That's not what women do. And it's just funny to me that now, like, there's a cottage industry of manosphere people who are saying that that's the same, thing that they're going through. It's just, maybe it would have been nicer if you were sympathetic to women who felt like they couldn't stand up for themselves throughout history.
The best response I heard from on that Rich Men from North of Richmond song was Billy Braggs, who was like, some of the stuff you're singing about is a little bit incorrect. I don't know, however he articulated it, but he said his response was basically he wrote a song about joining a union. Like if you like the we've said I probably said this for a dozen years. And at the time, a dozen years ago, it really mostly applied to, and almost exclusively to Alex Jones, which is if Alex Jones didn't exist, the forces that he rails against, the CIA would invent him and would have just created someone like him, because all of the nihilism that is preached in the conspiracy theories and whatnot. I'm sure there are some things that may, there's.
He'll touch on some real things too. There's a new phrase I'm seeing come up in the conspiracy folks I follow called SHIT coding, and that's what Alex Jones does when he talks about something real. But other times it's like, oh yeah, they're doing white genocide in South Africa. Here's my conspiracy theory.
But the idea is that like if you are led to believe that you have the secret information and that the establishment is all powerful and they're everywhere and they control everything and your only outlet is to, put all of your chips on voting for someone who is representative of maybe something that you want, but has no chance of actually getting there. or if you demonize, unions for the sake of some type of conspiracy theory, you're just disempowering people. There really is only one way for, to fundamentally alter the structure of our society. And that is, organizing. And the best route to organizing in a society that is sort of constructed like ours is by withholding your labor or the threat of withholding your labor. And the only way you get there is to create solidarity amongst the people you're working with. And the only way that happens, more or less, is some form of union in our society. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It just involves a lot of work and deprogramming, like of years and years of preaching of like that it's a personal pathological problem if you don't achieve some sort of like wealth status in society, or if that you don't have the right grind set. That's what all of those people do, is, as you say, disempower people. Solidarity is empowering. Understanding like the common experience with men, women, non-binary people, trans people, gay people, black people, indigenous people, whatever. That's what's empowering. Anyway. Frank Blunt says nothing is as empowering as a sack tap. All right, folks.
Or withholding birth control from women. Maybe we just do that instead.
Yep.
I'll feel empowered then again.
Yeah.
All right, folks. See you in the fun half.
You are in for it.
All right, folks. 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you could imagine.
The alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back.
Just wanna degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back.
I take all of it in my throat.
Alpha males are back.
Snowflake says what?
The alpha males are back.
You are a madman.
And the alpha males are back.
Oh no, Sam Seder! What a fucking nightmare!
Bring back DJ Danner.
Yeah, or a couple of them. Just put them in rotation.
DJ Danner.
Well, the problem with those is they're like 45 seconds long, so I don't know if they're enough of a break.
That's fucking nonsense. You see white people doing drugs, they look worse than normal white people, and all white people look disgusting.
And the alpha males.
Psych. Fuck them. Snowflake says what? Snowflake says what?
A hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. Okay, I'm making stupid money. Hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank.
All lives matter. Have you tried doing an impression on a college campus?
I think that there's no reason why reasonable people across the divide can't all agree with this. Psych.
And the alpha males are back. And the Africans are black African. And the alpha males are black. And the Africans are back.
When you see Donald Trump out there, doesn't a little part of you think that America deserves to be taken over by jihadists? Keeping it 100.
Can't knock the hustle.
Come on, fuck 'em. Things I do for the bigger game plan. By the way, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me, Jew boy. I have a thought experiment for you.
And the alpha males are back. Africans are black. Alpha males are black. Africans are back.
Come on. Come on. Someone needs to pay the price for blasphemy around here.
I am a total pussy.
We are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Oh my God. So hilarious. So hilarious. All right, let's get to this. We were talking a little bit about, I guess Joe Rogan brought Oliver Anthony on to his program. What was this, on yesterday? Was it?
Last week or weekend, I think.
And Oliver Anthony is the guy who wrote that song. That all broke when I was on vacation.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get...
You weren't moved?
I wasn't as moved by it, but...
Did you see how the debate, the first 15 minutes was centered around the song?
I did not,
Republican
actually. In
debate?
fact, I was putting Saul to sleep, I think, that very moment. But we can talk about that in a bit. But what's interesting about this exchange is that there's a lot of... I don't want this incoherence in terms of like, and at least, I don't know. Some of it is also motivated by Rogan's station in life, if you will. You'll recall when I went on that PBD show and said that we should be taxing people basically at the same rates we were during the 50s and the 60s, which was every dollar you made over your first, I think then it was $470,000, but that would be the equivalent of more or less $3 million. Every dollar you make over $3 million, you get taxed 90%. Now, a lot of libertarians will cry and say that was not the effective tax rate. The effective tax rate was 50%. The effective tax rate today is about half that. So, I mean, however you want to splice it up, we need much higher taxes on, at some point kicking in because we shouldn't have people concentrate that type of wealth. Here is how Rogan now understands. We've got to fight the man. But by man, I don't mean people who are making a lot of money like me.
No.
Here we go.
Well, I mean, it's a subject of discussion. So like everybody is getting involved, and then somehow or another it became cultural. And then there was Dwight from The Office.
Oh yeah,
he chimed in that if he was going to write a cultural
pause it for a second. I love the fact that like suddenly he's Dwight from The Office. I got news for you. This is the super for the news radio. This is the guy who was like feeding people worms. All right,
this is the Fear Factor guy.
Right. Yeah, Dwight from The Office.
Yeah.
Say something like he wouldn't write about overweight people on welfare. He would write about billionaires and their taxes.
Yeah.
There is nothing funnier than millionaires talking shit about billionaires. There is nothing funnier about millionaires pretending these billionaires are out of touch.
Oh yeah.
And then, take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia. Take him through those coal mining countries.
Can you pause it?
Take him through.
Take you down there, buddy. The difference, though, between actually someone like Dwight from The Office and someone like you is, I mean, well, I don't know. I guess Spotify is his corporate boss, right? But we come into there's often a conflict when certain like NFL fans are upset that the player is holding out because they're millionaires, right? They're millionaires. They should be grateful for what they do and for what they get paid for their job. But the reason that what's fundamentally wrong about that is that it's the billionaires who are choosing not to pay them because the billionaires are the ones who control capital.
The means of production.
The means of production. And so this is also a flattening of that power dynamic there too, where Joe Rogan's class consciousness is obviously hilariously terrible, but this is what they do to undermine the solidarity with actors as well, but with just fundamentally people who rely on people who own the means of production to make their living. And that is the difference here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a million. What's funnier than a millionaire criticizing a millionaire who's also like on the side of labor and the billionaires on the side of capital is another millionaire like Joe Rogan caping for billionaires and defending them from criticism of the people that they pay. Like, that's pretty servile, actually.
And I will say this. I mean, speaking as both a non-billionaire and a non-millionaire, there is a fundamental difference. Like I said, 90% on every dollar you would get taxed in the 40s and 50s and 60s over $470,000. And now that would be $3 million in that. So you could, over the course of 10 years, you can make $3 million, $30 million being taxed at, the sort of the rates that generally everybody is taxed at. And then anything above that, you'd basically get 10 cents on the dollar. And what that would do is it prevent you from amassing so much wealth that you had not just so much wealth, because I don't really care if Elon Musk or Bill Gates or whatever billionaire or Vivek like cake has a notion of like what people go through and this and that. I don't want them to have the ability, because of their money, to fundamentally change the lived experience of millions upon millions of people. That is fundamentally anti-democratic. And in this day and age, you can't do that if you have $30 million. You can't. You'll have a nice house. You'll be out of touch. You probably won't have a sense of what people go through on a daily basis. But you can't fundamentally alter, let's say, the trajectory of education in this country like Bill Gates did. You can't fundamentally derail large public investment in public transportation like Elon Musk has. And you can do that if you're a billionaire.
But if he leans back in his chair a little bit more, maybe people will forget that Spotify bought his show for $200 million.
So he actually deals pretty well with some of those people on the opposite end of Rainn Wilson.
He got a sweet deal out of that to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. So but man,
millionaires criticizing billionaires. That's so funny.
But
this dude has the aesthetic. He has the aesthetic.
Oh, an aesthetic.
He has the aesthetic in which he can go to West Virginia. I've been to West Virginia. I just took a trip through there.
Same. I denied some sushi there.
We made it. Go ahead.
Because we're out of touch.
Oh yeah.
And then take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia. Take him through those coal mining countries. Take him through those places in Appalachia where people have extreme poverty. And pills have ravished those areas. Take them through there.
And it's everywhere. Yeah, the sad thing is it's everywhere now. It's not, it's funny. People right off the get-go, I guess because it was Radio WV that posted the original video, but like I've never once advertised myself as being necessarily from the mountains. My grandfather grew up in western part of Virginia in the mountains, but I'm from Farmville, which is technically Piedmont. But even throughout rural Virginia, that poverty is a big issue and drugs are a big issue. And I mean, it's not just even in the rural areas. You go into downtown Richmond or any downtown anywhere for that matter. It's almost like these problems exist everywhere now and I think obviously they are because that's why the song resonated the way it did. Even in other countries. Other countries, yeah.
Well, people are tired of being fucked with. And it seems like people in power are always fucking with people. And I think it's a natural inclination that human beings have. And I think the founding fathers of this country recognized that when they set up our government. They set up our government to protect it against tyranny. And they did it by having all these different branches of government, and they're all coordinated, and there's a lot of fucking...
I hate to do this, but can we just say, like, the constitution of our government back then, was it really to guard against tyranny, like broad, how we would imagine it now, or was it kind of instituted to like maintain a slave?
Well, so Matt, you read a lot of history. Would you categorize slavery as somewhat tyrannical?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think actually that was not only something we've come to appreciate over the course of centuries, but also noted by like the British, like a few decades after that. Like, oh, this country says this all about freedom. Look at them maintaining slavery.
It was, the easiest way I think to look at it, it was designed to create more democracy than existed under a monarch.
Sure.
But not so much that those in the unnamed aristocracy, the money, our version of the aristocracy, which was a moneyed version, would lose power to people who didn't have money. Yeah, that's basically it.
Instead of the king, it's all of the large landowners who the king gave grant to.
Which is why, when you've made and let's be clear, like, I know how much money this guy made on a sitcom that was in syndication. He could have retired then, and he made a ton on Fear Factor, and now he's made even hundreds of millions of dollars. This guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and is now talking about tyranny. The Constitution was set up to protect your money. That's what it was set up for. Go ahead.
That was part of the origination of the Senate because they didn't want too much damn democracy.
Recognized that when they set up our government. They set up our government to protect it against tyranny. And they did it by having all these different branches of government, and they're all coordinated, and there's a lot of stuff that keeps people from just running it the way they want to run it like a king.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly I'm no professional historian, but my understanding is that the federal government was never intended to be the size that it is today. Like, it's just, we're very top heavy in the way we're structured. You know, our federal government is enormous and out of control and almost impossible to manage. But then, like, on our community level and in our state government, things are, especially local government, things are just very neglected and weak and disconnected. And so, like, that's why you see a lot of the problems. Like, we shouldn't have to rely on the federal government to fix things out in the street in small town America. Like, the communities and the local government should be the ones fixing that. And that's the way I see things. Like, even before our current form of government, I remember reading about, like, Articles of Confederation, and that was just an even smaller version of federal government, but it needed to have a little more structure than that. But even from day one, it seems like the federal government's never supposed to be the size that it's gotten to. Like, that's
a good argument if the country didn't get to the size that it got. The problem is you can't have, like, 30 people running 300 billion people.
But I think you could have more issues. So, like, I think it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible for states to be able to have the control to make the right decisions for the people in their areas when the federal government limits them in so many different ways.
Pause it. This is just somebody who has been subjected to a bunch of propaganda.
Yep.
Because to the extent that the federal government has controls over these things, we're going to limit the amount of stuff that your big industrialist. And, you know, what's amazing, too, is when you think about, like, coming from West Virginia and having this perspective. West Virginia is so corrupt by big money that it is kept, and because they have these resources there that have been exploited by big money in that state, and has impoverished large swaths of people there for generations, centuries now, and century plus. And this is a function of corruption in state and local governments. Corruption in that, you know, Joe Manchin, owns is working for the company that's trying to exploit this and that. I mean, we could go through on and on with this.
Yes.
But the federal government, to the extent that it's trying to control, is saying, don't put so much mercury in the air.
Yeah.
Maybe separate your beef from the poop when you are processing it.
Yeah, right. That's the thing, is, like, there's a lot.
Provide health care for your citizens. Right. And here's 90% of the money to do so.
But that's the thing is like, I almost feel badly that this guy is being thrust into having this conversation. Who knows how this song got so big, and if it was AstroTurf with his knowledge or without it. But either way, he does not need to be going on Joe Rogan to be the voice of some sort of generation. That was the Republican Party cynically using a certain aesthetic to basically divert from the structural power dynamics that we talk about here, so they can make it about some sort of, like, flyover country, forgotten man cultural thing, as opposed to really directing the anger towards the people that hold power in this country.
Right, and because there's things that are semi-agreeable, like the top-heavy thing. Well, if you're talking about the military, I agree with you. If you're talking about insurance programs, I don't agree with you. And also, like, the local control thing. Looking at this article from Texas GOP's broadest attempt yet to erode road. Blue Cities Power gets one step closer to becoming law. I doubt Joe Rogan's covered this. I'd be curious if what Oliver Anthony thinks about it. Republican state leaders' broadest effort to prevent Democratic-run cities and counties from enacting progressive policies. Like that was HB.
Oh, we've seen this in North Carolina. Did this to I think to fend off a city ordinance that was going to have a minimum wage. I mean, we see it on and on.
Yes, and the systemic thing about why local politics are worse often than federal is that, or like more inept, is because they're cheaper to buy for the people
Of course.
that are near it.
Of course. Before the federal Supreme Court was bought by Harlan Crow and other billionaires, you go to the states in North Carolina, South Carolina, any place where there was an election for the state Supreme Court, you'll see big money had come in there and bought these elections already. Go ahead.
About this, so I'm going to be talking out of my ass. But I would imagine they're probably low on funding too. There's probably a lot of issues, especially in places that are poor, because they rely on taxes from those people. Yeah. It's all very complicated. But the idea of taxing the rich being the way to fix all this, no, you're just going to give more money to the government, and they're not really good at doing stuff. I mean, would it be nice if rich people donated to fixing streets and schools and stuff like that? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would be. Good call. Also, fat people shouldn't be
pause it for a second. I mean, he's
donated.
He got stuck in a cul-de-sac here because he just said they can't do stuff because they're probably underfunded, and these local poor areas can't have good services because they can't collect taxes from the people. But that doesn't mean that we should collect taxes from people because government's not going to do anything with it. So even the local governments can't fix their city streets. And then would it be good if rich people donated money to give to fix the streets? Yeah, that would be good, but that's not going to happen. I'm lost here. Let me go to fat
That's why we need taxation.
Let me go to fat people. Hold on.
Yeah.
I got to go to a go-to.
He wants the government to be bigger because of the size of the population, but not bigger in any way that is commensurate with the taxes involved here. Just bigger, in big government, big size. Makes no sense.
It's all very complicated, but the idea of taxing the rich being the way to fix all this, no, you're just going to give more money to the government, and they're not really good at doing stuff. I mean, would it be nice if rich people donated to fixing streets and schools and stuff like that? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would be. Good call. Also, fat people shouldn't be buying fucking fudge rounds with food stamps.
Yeah.
Also, that's not good.
Yeah, and that's a funny.
But also,
that's a conversation that sort of got blown multiple ways. And really, I like to let a song be left up to the interpretation of the listener. But even with that, it's I would love to write a song about. I always thought it was funny to when GM got bailed out of the recession after they made all these terrible decisions. I never understood why I've never understood corporate welfare either to much of an extent. So I do understand the people making that argument.
Well, the corporate welfare argument is you're going to lose a shitload of jobs. You can preserve those jobs, give those people a loan, they build back up, then they repay the loan. That's what they did, though.
Yeah.
So there's actually some benefit to that.
Government
keeps American jobs.
So in other words, the government did it. And what would be the problem if the government, in providing that money to GM, said, incidentally, we're part of your shareholders now. All those other people who loaned you money, they got shares because they loaned you money. We're one of those now too.
I mean, he's in a bind here because he keeps bumping up against his desire to not get taxed. He's in a pretzel here because he wants to talk about how the government should do something, but they can't do something. They're underfunded, not enough money, but we can't raise taxes. That's the thing is he can't make a coherent case without saying, I should not have as much money as I do, but I don't want that on air. I mean, and somehow Oliver Anthony's being more coherent than him on this point, even though he supposedly talks about issues related to this on a daily basis.
And incidentally, the corporate welfare, if you can justify it, and I have no problem with the U.S. government bailing out an industry that is failing, but I want returns.
Exactly.
I mean,
demand. You have to unionize those electric vehicles.
If an industry or a major corporation that is too big to fails, it is clear that they can't do the job. The private sector can't do the job. Come in, government money, government has a piece. Period. That's very easy. But incidentally, that corporate welfare that he's promoting here, Guess what pays for that? The taxes that 2 minutes ago you said was stupid to give to the government.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think you can buy those fudge rounds on SNAP benefits. Also, you've got food deserts in certain situations.
Right.
But aside from that, I'm not even convinced that this guy, that's what he was talking about. Like, he's trying to sort of get. He's
feels
trying
uncomfortable. I think. I got it. Maybe I'm too sympathetic to Oliver Anthony. I think he probably wouldn't put the fudge rounds thing in the same way if he had known. Maybe again, this is maybe me giving him way too much credit, but would reiterate that fudge rounds thing. So he seemed to not.
He seemed to make it like it was a metaphor, but he's not going to talk about his music. Who knows? But
I mean, he doesn't have great politics. But again, like this is this is more about critiquing the guy that has a platform that got $200 million from Spotify.
I like the fact that he knows the government can save jobs and create jobs and maintain jobs.
It's nice of him to say that right after he said the government can't do anything if it taxes people more.
Right.
So you can preserve those jobs, give those people a loan, they build back up, then they repay the loan. That's what they did, though.
Yeah.
So there's actually some benefit to that.
So
Look, it keeps American jobs, and it also keeps one of the most iconic American car manufacturers in business. It's good for everybody.
I posit. Now, I know what he's going to go into now is, did you know, Oliver, that we increased the number of manufacturing jobs because of the IRA in this country by 800,000, almost 900,000 jobs over the course of the past 24 months because of these investments, government-directed investments in manufacturing. In other words, in an industrial policy by the U.S. government. Is that what he's going to go with?
No, I will want to. Yeah. Okay.
It's a good conversation to have. Like
it is like what gets bailed out and what doesn't. And
Yeah.
why? Yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, I do see a lot of people that aren't taken care of.
Yeah.
And so
you know the most used business that didn't get taken care of during the crash? Oh.
So there's an ad there. I will just tell you that what he does a non sequitur to talk about pornography after that. So it's the end of that section there. But
I saw the caption.
Yeah.
Well,
great. I'm not sure what the point of that is, but
he was worried about. I mean, he knew he was not making sense. He has enough self-awareness to know he wasn't making any sense.
But I want to comment. Robbie Soev and Brandon Gray talked about this clip, and to Brianna's credit, I think she was a little bit over it because they played the first part where Rogan is talking about Rainn Wilson, and the framing is like, look at Joe Rogan being a populist, and they cut it before the section where he's like, yeah, you can't cut rich people's taxes, and I just think it's very interesting how those decisions are.
How the hell is Rainn Wilson and Joe Rogan in any way distinct from each other?
Right, exactly.
Well,
except for Joe Rogan probably has 10 times more money than Rainn Wilson.
He's more closer to the capitalists.
I mean, but he eats worms and smokes weed and hangs with guys and UFOs, man. You ever consider that, bro? That's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, he has an aesthetic that's just a little bit, more Massachusettsy or New Jersey, wherever the hell he's from. That's it. What else should we do here?
Also, On It Labs, his ProPublica's saying I got suspicious activity coming from my browser, so I'm not sure what that is. But if you search On It Labs PPP loan, here it is. Joe Rogan got PPP.
There he is.
On It Labs is Joe Rogan.
Wait, the loan amount and then the entire loan was forgiven plus accrued interest.
Isn't that typical of the PPP stuff?
I mean,
wait, is that 2.4 million? No.
Yeah.
How much is that money?
Yeah. Wow. Sounds like he's a fat guy eating
rent.
Did they buy any
fudge rounds?
$100,000 in rent?
Yeah.
No, this isn't his. Druggist and sundries merchant wholesalers.
I'm pretty sure
this
his
is not his.
pharmaceutical.
No, take that down. This is not him. That can't be him.
Are you sure? Because
pretty
he
sure that's
also
Alpha Brain.
sells supplements, Alpha Brain.
Yeah, that's his Alpha Brain supplements thing. On It Labs.
What?
Alpha Brain.
Yes. Yes. That's another thing that he makes a ton of money off of that we don't know of.
He's got a drug company?
Yes, Sam.
Whose payroll over the course of 4 months is $1.7 million?
197 jobs reported?
Yeah. Here's a Joe Rogan, November 2nd November 24th, 2022, in a YouTube short. I always take Alpha Brain. Yeah, that's Joe Rogan's.
Joe
Rogan on it.
I find that very hard to believe.
Onit.com is his website. Alpha Brain. I have it right now.
Yeah.
It's his supplement that has 3.5 stars.
As a stand-up comedian for more than 30 years, Rogan has parlayed his humor chops into acting gigs, blah, 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 blah. Rogan's
He's got to be doing $25 million a year in sales to be supporting. Holy shit.
Yeah.
He lives like a capitalist every day.
That money from Spotify is chump change.
That's what I'm saying. He's so much. Let's guess how he's closer to the B than to the single M.
I wonder.
Oh my God.
It's so funny when millionaires criticize billionaires like I could be in the next 24 months.
That is really. Incidentally, folks, we are going to be starting a line of brain foods.
Nutraceuticals, the Lek factor.
Collis analysis. As someone on Snap, yes, you can buy anything that's not served hot. So any type of treats, candies, but the underpinning in what Rogan and others say is we shouldn't allow poor people to be enjoying things they get from the government.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for mentioning the hot food thing, because how you can skip over that and say like, oh, these people are spending it on junk food because probably that's the only thing available at the things around them, and it's also cheap calories, which is essential for people who are in poverty.
Less time. Exactly. You don't want to have to cook something.
Yeah. But you're going to skip over just one of the most dehumanizing, just disgusting policies of sort of, I guess, class reinforcement, saying you can't use this to buy a hot sandwich at a sandwich shop. You have to get a cold one. It's just a disgusting elitist thing. So how people can even comment on Snap and not foreground that is crazy.
And I just want to make this clear too. Like, I don't really care that much about Joe Rogan. But Joe Rogan is a great stand-in for a whole set of politics. I hope people understand this. Is that I don't personally or even professionally care about Joe Rogan, the guy. He is a perfect stand-in for a set of politics. That is the case with most of these people. I don't care about Jesse Signal. I don't care about him at all. It's annoying to me that he has my email address, or at least one of them. But aside from that, I don't care about him at all. It's just that he is a perfect example of a certain type of political being.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the value of talking about these people, because we don't have to create some type of straw man. We can just use these living, walking, talking examples.
Right.
Speaking of which, let's do the. Should we do number 4, the 5, and then? Should we do Elon Musk
thing?
Oh,
we
yeah.
got to it yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing. Elon Musk seems to be suing. Is he suing the ADL? What's going on with this?
So basically,
that would be ill-advised, I think. Right?
The background is essentially, free speech guy Elon Musk. He was criticized by the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, essentially, because of their criticism, or they criticize X/Twitter for its lack of content moderation after Elon Musk's takeover, where there was more anti-Semitism on the platform. Now, Musk is threatening to sue them. I don't think he has filed suit yet, but he's at least talking tough. And apparently, Musk, when he took over in late 2022, met with representatives from the ADL and other, anti-hate groups to say, don't worry, we're going to have a content moderation council, which he never put into place. Now, Sam, not sure what your experience has been on Twitter recently, but you have said, at least to us off camera, that the number of times you've been called a Jew in your mentions has been exponentially increasing.
Oh,
is
yeah.
that fair
There
to
is
say?
never an exchange I have with anybody where
So-
I don't get reminded that I am Jewish
Yeah.
in some fashion or another.
So,
and it's not like,
yeah,
happy Passover. That's
Right.
not what I'm getting.
I'm not shocked by that. So the ADL, among other groups, basically called out Twitter
Yeah,
and said advertisers, look, there's too much hate on this platform, and called on them to not do business.
Just to historicize a little bit, the ADL has given Musk a lot of chances, saying they were cautiously optimistic when he took over, and then just to remind folks, the Kanye West thing also happened.
Yes.
Where Elon's playing footsie with that, and then this is just the last straw because he's so clearly gone in this direction.
I mean, and he does this on purpose, by the way, because this is his ideology. What was the name of that writer that the Huffington Post or HuffPost exposed for having the pseudonym?
Oh, Hanania?
Hanania.
Elon followed him after that.
Yeah. Elon, Hanania, there was an expose that he had a pseudonym where he was writing on white supremacist websites, not just right-wing ones. And after that story broke, Elon Musk followed him on Twitter. It's a signal. This is the kind of thing that I believe in and tolerate, and I'll speak publicly in saying I oppose anti-Semitism like he does here, or hatred of any kind. And then quietly I'll give a wink and a nod to the white supremacists that I want to cater to.
It's also a twofer insofar as I didn't lose. I mean, this is almost so hammer on the head, but I didn't lose the money. The scheming Jews made me lose all the money.
Right.
I mean, this is literally when you hear and we've had folks on to talk about this, but the question is when you hear the white supremacists say the blacks are taking over the country, the way that they will reconcile the fact that, hey, wait a second, I'm supposed to be better than them, they're supposed to be par to me in my humanity, the way they reconcile it is, well, it's the Jews that are controlling the blacks that have been scheming to take over the
That's
country.
great replacement theory too, right? Which is
Totally.
the dirty, Mexican, again, this is what they're saying, are coming over at the behest of the Jews.
And this is, a similar construct. I didn't lose the money. The sneaky Jews have been in touch with the advertisers and money. And let me say this. I think the ADL is garbage.
Right.
I am not a fan of the way that they have in many ways weaponized their position against people whose politics they don't like.
And against people who are against apartheid in Palestine. Yeah.
But the idea that Elon's loss of value in Twitter is a function of the ADL, it may be a function of all the users who are like, this sucks now.
Yes, well, that's my experience. This is what he said here. This is what he said, just because we've hinted it, but to be super clear, I'm pro free speech, but against anti-Semitism of any kind. Since the acquisition, the ADL has been trying to kill this platform by falsely accusing it and me of being anti-Semitic. Our U.S. advertising revenue is still down 60%, haha, primarily due to the pressure on advertisers by...
Primarily
by ATL. That's what advertisers tell us, so they almost succeeded in killing X/Twitter. I mean, so... I'm not anti-Semitic, but the Jews are taking all my money.
Well, the other part is what does that mean? I am pro free speech, but I'm against anti-Semitism. I mean, which is
why I'm going to sue the ADL. Which is why I'm going to sue the ADL for billions of dollars. That's his threat. What about their free speech, buddy?
Keith Woods says Alex Jones doesn't want to ban the ADL because they're the most pro-Hitler organization I've ever seen. And then Elon Musk jumps in and says, the ADL, because they are so aggressive in their demands to ban social media accounts for even minor infractions, are ironically the biggest generators of anti-Semitism on this platform. This construct, again, people who complain about anti-Semitism are the ones who are creating anti-Semitism. We see this all over the place.
Look what you made us do. This one also, yeah. This is a tweet from some...
Probably a nasty account that I'm probably even hide.
Yeah. I'll read that part. It says, scroll up a little though, because it says 65% of Jewish college students support censorship. 19% of Mormon college students support censorship.
You'll be shocked to learn that's not exactly how that was phrased.
No. So it's essentially trying to say that Jews want censorship, and Elon responds here at the bottom.
Just and I'll put it up here.
Yeah. I mean, I can just read it if we don't want to promote the account.
I got it.
Oh, exclamation point.
Yeah. So, but the question is, what do you value more, promoting an inclusive society and, quote, protecting citizens?
So in other words, you have to choose one or the other in this
Exactly.
instance. Now, surprisingly, the fundamentalist Christians are not promoting an inclusive society is not a high priority for them.
Right.
It's a higher priority to protect free speech. I mean, literally, you can go down through the sort of levels of how adherent they are to a certain fundamentalism, down to people who are most likely in this society of this group here to be to get be on the opposite, or maybe have a history of being on the opposite end of that.
Maybe they are a little bit more sensitive to the fact that free speech has been turned into a vehicle for basically white supremacy. And yeah, like I think look, I know some Mormon people at Brigham Young Money podcast on a lot of great Mormons, but seeing them number one with a bullet, it's not a surprise to me entirely.
No.
This is, another interesting looking into this from Elon Musk's. Important to understand that Elon Musk isn't the only one calling out the ADL. They're they are at the lead of Stop Toxic Twitter Coalition because of grants by Pierre Omidyar. Others, Brock's Media Matters, Color of Charge, I think he meant Change, Center of Countering Digital Hate, GLAD, Move On, Podesta's CAP. So like Democrat to progressive anti-hate organizations. Sobiech, known to dabble in all kinds of bigotry, to be kind. So, this is the kind of stuff that speaks to him.
One correction before we move on. Joe Rogan does not own that company. Unilever owns that company.
I did know that, actually. Joe Rogan's just a hired guy.
He's just getting paid for that. He does not own that company.
Okay.
All right.
So we got to be careful about that stuff. Right. So correction. He does not own that. He just gets paid an undisclosed amount by this drug, by Unilever. Spotify and Unilever.
Keep that in mind with his, pharma critiques and stuff like that. What does Unilever do? A whole lot of things, right?
I think
they're a massive holding company.
Dove, beauty, wellness. That's.
Let's do one more of these, and then let's get to the main event here.
Okay.
This is when was this from? This is from a couple of days ago, actually, in the wake of the hurricane response. Apparently, Chris Christie is claiming that DeSantis is too involved in politics to meet with Joe Biden in terms of the hurricane response. I mean,
you know why he's saying that, right?
Chris Christie, because he met with Obama, he hugged Obama, and that's his way.
Republicans flipped out.
Exactly,
during
they
Sandy.
flipped out,
yeah.
and we should say, I don't know if we ever played those images of all the Nazis who were parading in front of Disney World. One of whom claimed that he was supportive of Joe Biden over Donald Trump. But these guys are not necessarily always the most reliable narrators. What is clear is that for some reason, the Nazis want to go attack Disney. And I don't know where they could have gotten that idea. But what has been hilarious is to watch Ron DeSantis beg Disney to drop their lawsuit because he has, quote, moved on. In other words, it didn't catch on for my campaign. It actually ended up hurting me.
That's why he dropped wokeness too, because it stopped polling well.
Who knew?
What a loser.
It is amazing how they will sort of like pick up and discard these ideologies, these main tenets of their politics. But here is the 5, replete with a bunch of like, I don't know.
Like, is that to the... it's a very grainy image. Is that Piers Morgan? No.
No. Here we go.
Okay.
I find it so interesting to watch the preparation by Governor Ron DeSantis and the need to have linemen available with trucks with diesel fuel and generators with natural gas to prepare for a hurricane, which is completely the opposite of what the climate agenda calls for.
Right. It's the opposite of what we saw in Maui. I mean, they were not releasing the water. In fact, they didn't have a plan to shut down the power lines when there was brush on the ground. But what's so fascinating about this is one of the first hurricanes reported was, I think it was in the 1400s. Now, I would venture a guess that had nothing to do with fossil fuels. Okay, but they're certainly convinced that we've got something to do with all of this. And then the other issue is...
Pause it. I just want to highlight the level of idiocy that is associated with someone saying hurricanes predated, and I've never heard anyone make the claim that hurricanes didn't exist
before the 1400s,
or prior to the burning of fossil fuels.
Right. Yeah. The first hurricane. Well, it's like also like what she's even saying there. Like the first hurricane we heard of was 1400s, as if there was none before then.
Yeah, I know. Right. I mean, well, they believe like the Earth is only like 2,000 years old or whatever the hell. But like, also, for people to be clear on this, hurricanes are increasing in intensity, and there are more of them because the warmer the oceans are, the more these tropical storms turn into hurricanes. Okay, there we go.
And I mean, that was the meat of that. We can let her go in a little bit more.
I want to hear more.
Wildfire season. Oh, it's terrible. It's because it's man-made. The wildfire, it's because of climate change. But I mean to say it's man-made. It's really about arson. It's about poor forest management. It's about making sure that the brush that's on the ground, it ends up meeting a power line. I mean, all of this stuff can be handled if we at least recognize, as Ron DeSantis is recognizing, that you can prepare for it, you can plan ahead, and you can be ahead of the game. But all of these claims that hurricanes and wildfires are the result of climate change and the hot weather happens in the summer. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I mean, completely ignoring the record-breaking heat that we have been subjected to. Yeah. The fact that, people are going to have to start moving because of the climate. So she's sort of muddling the message. Is it now? Are we back to there's no climate change anymore, or is it that there's no?
If I own a house that needs flood insurance in say Florida, I'm going to tell that to my
not
insurance
just flood insurance, like any homeowners.
Kind of insurance, yeah. I'll be like, hey, Janine Pirro on Fox News said that actually there's nothing to really worry about. Can you give me that insurance, please?
I think we could get that insurance because there was a hurricane in 1400.
Yes. Also, that is Piers Morgan.
It is Piers Morgan?
It is, and I'm quite curious to see if he's trying to make some sort of transition back to U.S. media. That's all I'm saying. And that's usually the liberals' seat, which is... oh,
God.
Piers is going to be the resident liberal on Fox? That'd be fun.
God help us.
Well, I agree with Pirro that we need to make sure, and probably with government action, that our power companies are on top of the heat that comes in the summer, whether it's... a new thing or whether it's the exact same and been stationary through history, not any hotter and any more hurricanes than there used to be.
All right. We're going to take a quick break and seat our guest.
If you go to one shot, I can help.
All right, let me just read some IMs in the meantime. The best is leftist. I know you discussed the clip of Rogan episode with Patrick Bet-David, but if you haven't watched it, you should, and clip more of it. The first hour is all anti-vax, COVID conspiracies, anti-trans. It's horrible the way you can hear the anger in his voice when he talks about the trans issue, and will say how he is totally pro-trans. Also, the certainty in which he discusses everything about COVID is damaging. I also find it funny how angry he is about Joe Biden, but will never discuss Trump's constant lies. This episode has it all. Crunchy. Her audio is not broadcasting. We can't hear her. Yes. Professional dumpster fire YouTube stream. Yes. Genuine question. Would raising the taxes on the wealthy reduce the speculative value of many of these unproductive companies like Netflix or Tesla on the stock market? Because much of the tech stocks are basically valued on their ability to avoid taxation and shrink the overall value of the U.S. economy. Raising the taxes on the wealthy will reduce the speculative value of everything. All of these things are being driven by people who have so much money, they don't need to spend it on survival or even their own enjoyment or even their own luxury because they don't know how to spend it. Yep. They can't all go to Mars. They would. Except for I won't be the first one to do that. So there's already Amazon and space guys doing it. And it is because there is so much money in the hands of so few people that things get reduced. All right.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm excited about Jacob Silverman's upcoming book about the cheap money era, because basically what we should have done if we're going to flood the economy with cash, we should have raised taxes at the same time, because otherwise you have all these people that are looking to spend that cheap money into things like crypto or tech or whatever.
Maine's oyster cult. Sam, have you heard about Pine Tree Power? In November, Mainers will vote on creating a public utility managed by a nonprofit with an elected board of directors to manage Maine's energy grid. Lots of money being spent in opposition. We should make a note. Let's do that. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday on this program, we had a debate. We had a guest on. It got a little bit ugly.
Dad, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it working?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So I'd like to welcome back to the program for the final time.
Until next year.
Until next year. Saul Seder, who is tomorrow's a big day for you.
I know.
Why don't you tell what it is?
My first day of 5th grade.
Your first day of 5th grade. How about one of these? Are you excited about that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
You have so many emotions going on that you can't sort of separate them out, or
yeah.
you're unsure if you're
first one.
Okay. If you were excited, the parts of you that are maybe excited, what would they be about?
Seeing my friends again.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
If you have anxiety about going to school, which is a natural thing, what would that be about?
Having to sit through math class.
You're good at math.
And?
All right. Well, okay. I mean, if you're good at math, I don't know why you're anxious about that. What about writing?
What do you mean?
Are you purposely being obtuse or what? Why are you being evasive?
What is obtuse?
Well, you're being evasive. You're not answering my questions. It's like you're afraid to answer my questions.
You're scary.
I'm scary?
Yeah, you're big and hairy like a Yeti.
Oh, all right.
Bigfoot.
All
You're
right.
Bigfoot.
Roast him, Saul.
If you look at his
You're just
shirt,
saying that.
no, shush. If you look at his shirt, you can see the hair poking out. He has so much hair on his chest.
All right. Okay. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Look at his beard. It's so untidy.
All right. Your beard is untidy. All right.
And his arms. Show them your arms.
What's wrong with my arms?
They're so hairy.
My arms are not that hairy.
They're pretty hairy.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Look at. Never mind.
All right, maybe we should move on.
No, Dad. Show them the hairs inside your nose.
Well, I'll pass on that. I'll pass on that.
It's not a question.
Huh?
It's a command.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Woo!
And what are you having for dinner tonight?
I don't know. I'll just go to Mom's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. How are you going to get there?
Walking.
All right, good.
I'll walk them. It's literally a mile away, but I'll find a way to do it.
All right. Maryland Mailman says, do you know what doesn't skip a generation? Because yesterday you said that
Yeah.
humor.
What?
Body hair.
Crap.
Yeah, there you go, buddy. There you go. All right. So what else what should we talk about? Is there any topics that you want to bring up?
Oh yeah, that costume for a teddy bear did not fit the cats.
Okay. So just catch people up because I don't think maybe they didn't listen yesterday.
Okay, well, you tell them.
No, you tell
No,
them.
I don't know what the full story is.
Well, Ronald Reagan bought a teddy bear costume.
It's not an actual like teddy bear costume. It's a costume for a teddy bear.
Correct.
It was an airplane. It was a pilot thing.
Okay. And you tried to put it on.
Yeah, it fit, but it was so small that like it looked like Leo was wearing a tank top, cause like it went up to like I don't know how to say this. Like it fit him,
Yeah.
but it zipped up. But it was like the actual length of it was not meant for a cat.
I see. And did the cat seem to be happy with that?
Absolutely not. He was like, "Get this off of me, please."
Okay. And
Yeah.
the cat doesn't actually speak.
No, but like
You can interpret what he said.
yeah,
I see.
Dad, please. I've known them my entire life, literally
Yeah.
my entire life.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Excuse me. And what else? So give me a sense of like what you're anticipating this year is going to be like for you.
Normal.
What if people aren't aware of what normal is?
Not crazy.
What does that mean? Not crazy.
Not crazy. That's quite self-explanatory.
All right. Fine. Okay. Top 3 favorite movies. What would you say they are? Oh, I think you went through this yesterday.
Yeah, but I have a new favorite, or I remembered this one. Well, okay, number 1 would maybe be don't you dare take a picture of me.
Well, hey, buddy, I'm just taking a picture just to remember this.
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm trying to go back on the show, Dad. Okay. I'm trying to think. It's hard. Jason Bourne, that's number 1.
Oh, you like the Jason Bourne movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the first one the best, or which
yeah,
one?
Yeah,
me
first
too.
one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like the second ones aren't bad, or like
But they're not the first.
Yeah, like they're not bad. The rest of them aren't bad, but they're just like not as good as the first one. Okay. Number 2 is Ocean's 11,
Right. You said that yesterday. Yep.
and then Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty. Wow. Okay.
Now you got to see that.
Or Uncharted. I really like Uncharted.
Uncharted.
Have
All
you-
right.
yeah, you've seen
Yeah,
that.
we've seen that. That was Marky
Free
Mark.
Guy also too is really good.
Oh yeah, Free Guy. What's your opinion? Do you know who Mr. Beast is?
Yeah,
Who is Mr. Beast?
Dad.
I honestly am not sure I know.
I'm really disappointed in you.
Why?
I bet the comment.
Well, somebody
section-
actually said the IM said, "What's Saul's opinion of Mr. Beast?" And I don't know who that is.
I'm going to say, but just look at everyone hear that. He does not know who Mr. Beast is. Dad, the comments are going to be screaming at you. Like you have like over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and you don't know who Mr. Beast is?
I don't know that maybe Mr. Beast is one of them. I'm not sure.
Mr. Beast
Yeah.
has like over.
Who is he?
Mr. Beast has over 100 million subscribers.
Oh, okay.
That's your answer.
Looking at the chat now, Sean C. Sam is so dumb.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you for backing me up, buddy. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Oh, you're talking to Sean.
Have you seen Cable Guy? You've never seen that, right?
No.
Yeah. Bitter Canadian says that's Jim Carrey's best movie. I would probably tend to
what?
agree with that. It is a.
Wait, Dad, can we watch it soon?
It's a little bit dark for you, but maybe.
Dad,
What?
You think Jason Bourne's better than that?
All right. You criticizing my parenting skills?
Yeah,
Is that what's
actually,
going
I
on?
am.
All right.
If you're not gonna let me watch a Jim Carrey movie, but you're gonna let me watch Jason Bourne, then get a life.
Do you know what a union is? Did you hear any of that talk we had today with a union guy?
I was sort of in the other room because I was tired of your voice already.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so no.
And you don't know what a union is?
I don't think so.
Do you want to go?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I saw an IM earlier, Saul, top 3 favorite Marvel movies.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's also hard. Oh, shoot.
You can take your time.
To be honest?
Yeah.
What was that?
Just give you a little music to think to.
Okay, well, I'm ready. Well,
Okay.
sort of. To be honest, everyone's gonna hate me for this, but Avengers is not the best. It's just I like
too much going on.
Yeah, no, I like Infinity War and like Endgame, but then Avengers 1 and the rest of those, they're literally just the same exact thing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's no story.
I agree with you. I like the ones that are standalone. Like, do you like the Spider-Man?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Spider-Man 3 or 1 would be my favorite. Marvel one, not the Tom Holland one.
Yeah.
Well, really, the third one, all of them come together, but
Right.
Number
Spoiler.
2. Oh,
All right. Don't worry about that.
I bet everyone's seen it
I
by
just
now.
I just think that you're being a little bit evasive.
What? I don't know.
You're being a little evasive. Like you're not answering the question directly.
I am. I'm telling you, I'm listing them off right now.
Okay.
Black Panther.
Black Panther. Good.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black.
And okay, this last one's gonna be hard. Oof. Okay.
Do we need to move on?
Yeah.
Captain
Really?
America,
Seriously?
you like?
Yeah, Captain America.
Yeah, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Winter
Okay.
Soldier.
Which one is your preferred Spider-Man? I know you got this right off the bat.
Wait, which one? You mean the actors?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom Holland.
Yeah, not even close.
I know everyone's gonna hate, but
Let me ask you this about cars. Like when you think about a Bugatti, you know what a Bugatti is?
yeah, I do, Dad.
You do?
I do.
Tell me about a Bugatti. Is that a big deal?
What do you mean, big deal?
I mean, like,
Is it expensive?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a cool car, would you say?
Yeah, I really like it.
When did you first like a Bugatti?
I've known what Bugattis are since I was born.
Since you were born?
Yeah, I'm really into concept cars. I love concept cars.
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
AVTR, you know that one? It's
No, I'll Google it.
Yeah, it's inspired by Avatar 2, Way of the Water. It's really cool.
Well, let me ask you this about that, because I accept that the cars are cool, but do you think that if you owned one, it would make you like a better person?
No.
Like no?
Not a better person.
But what about, would it make you like a sort of like a top tier guy?
No.
No? Why?
It's a car. Haven't accomplished anything but making money. Yes, that one. It's really cool. Dad, I've shown you this.
Yeah, you have shown me this.
Okay.
Pop this
so,
up.
so it's the thing on the back, those things on the very back of the car that's
Yeah.
standing upright.
Yeah.
They move, they ripple like live creatures.
Oh, wow.
And the wheels, they're inspired by what's it called? The Avatar 1. You know, the things that float down, sort of.
Nah, sort of.
Well, it's inspired by that, and it lights up. And okay, if you look inside of it,
Yeah.
you see that little thing on where the cup holder would be.
Yeah.
That's actually the steering wheel.
Oh, so it's like a mouse pad.
Sort of. You know how in Avatar that they connect their hair to whatever they're riding? You put your hand on it and go move it the way you want to go. It's really cool.
Interesting. Well, I
Does it not have any doors? Are they clear doors?
I think they're clear, but they might not have any.
Like when you go underwater.
No,
Oh, they look like there's glass doors.
No, yeah, definitely. It just only thing about that is that's bad is privacy. Like everyone's just gonna be like peering. They're like, oh my god, I see a phone on the car seat. Like,
Yeah, it's probably not a car you want to. You'd
Like,
have to get one of those.
bodyguard, like.
You probably want somebody. Yeah, I would. I don't know if I would park that one on the street.
No, yeah, definitely. Like
You gotta get your dad to
get-
take you to a car show.
Yeah,
See
Dad.
some of these concept cars.
Also, there is one. I was telling my dad about this when we traveled. It's the. Oh my god! It's the transforming one.
Uh huh.
I think it was the Audi.
Oh, the one that transforms into
from
a pickup truck.
Yeah, and the wheel comes out of the ground, so it's manual or autopilot.
Interesting. What else is going on? Like, what else? If do you have a message to older people? I mean, you're
What do you
10.
mean?
You don't represent the whole generation. But
No, yeah.
you-
I don't.
No, I know, but nevertheless, I mean, certainly you're not having incredibly distinct ideas about you know what it feels like to be
I
a
know.
10-year-old.
What?
Do you have a message for?
No, I
like-
don't. Sorry.
Do you consider yourself a political person?
No, I don't know what that means, to be honest.
Really?
If I'm being honest with you, I don't know what that means.
Okay.
If you want me to lie, I know what it means.
No, I want you to be truthful.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself a jock?
I don't know what that means either.
Like an athletic type? Are you really into sports?
Athletic?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you like gym class?
Hate it. Our teachers, I don't.
Careful.
Whoa. Yeah. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. Do you have some philosophical differences, perhaps?
What's a philosophical hole?
Well, some idea, like you have an issue with the structure of the way the class is taught, maybe.
No, not really. It's our teacher is a little bit like hardcore.
Uh-huh. So it's too hard. It's too challenging.
No, it's not challenging. It's strict. She's really strict.
You can't have fun.
Yeah, she's strict on things that like don't need to be strict about. Like, also, our school is sort of like ruining the gym, to be honest. Just because last year too many people got hurt from like the foam dodgeballs, and I'm really confused about that. So like not like the high school like rubber ones. It was like the foam squishy ones. So they turned it into like this game where you slide bean bags on the floor, not like cornhole tossing bags on the floor, get people out. That's how you get them out.
And touch them on their feet?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like that could be fun,
It's
though,
not
too.
that fun.
Oh, okay.
That actually happened to me, I think. And when I was around your age, they stopped playing dodgeball because they didn't want people, pelting people with those balls and stuff. But they're very soft.
I know. It's like I got hit in the eye with one. It was just like a boop.
Speaking of school, you're going in.
Yeah.
Your school ends at 5th grade, right? You move on to middle school. So you're going in as sort of the elder.
I'm not that old, Dad.
Well, you're not that old, but in the context of the school, you are, right?
Dad, there's like 80-year-old teachers.
Well, I understand, but I'm talking about the other students. Okay. I'm talking about the other
You
students.
have to be more specific, Dad. I'm
Okay.
not that smart.
Okay. All right. The other students. So, what advice, let's say, because there's a lot of people out there who are listening, they have kids who are going into kindergarten, they have kids going into 1st grade, maybe 2nd grade.
Not hard. Well, it's like I didn't I can't really say I can't really say anything about it because it's different. I don't really remember kindergarten that well to like say anything about it. I remember not really first, but 2nd and 3rd grade, but I was online. My first days of school. So I can't really say any advice. So I don't really know.
You were online because of COVID.
Yeah, so I don't really have a perspective about that. In person.
Right. Well, what about 4th grade?
fourth grade, it's like everything seems hard, but it's like not that hard once you like pay attention to everything.
What kind of things seem hard? Like the classes?
Well, yeah, but like in fourth grade, we learned about the revolution,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hard at first.
Which revolution?
No, it's called oh my god.
The American Revolution?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. The Revolutionary War.
Yeah,
right there,
that's
right.
that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
It seems really hard when I first started, but then I listened closer and it made a lot of sense.
What happened in the Revolutionary War? What was that about?
Well, really no one was American, to be honest. They were all British. It was like it was an insult to call someone American.
Ah.
But then people started fighting back because they didn't really like the rule, like how they ruled and stuff.
Who? Didn't like who ruled?
What's it called? What?
The king?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, okay.
King George, the whatever is. I think the 1st or 8th. I don't know.
Somewhere probably around there. Yeah.
Yeah, so they fought back and then they were proud to be American.
All right, that's an interesting retelling of the story.
Okay, Dad, I'm sorry.
No.
It's summer. I'm trying to enjoy my last day before I have to go to school and then remember stuff.
All right, well, let me ask you this about Monticello. We went down to Monticello, right?
Wait, which one's that?
That's where Jefferson.
Okay, that dude.
Yeah, that dude.
Wait, where is that?
Where? Do you know where it is? Do you know the name of the state?
No, I don't.
Just don't say it the way that you were saying in the car.
Oh, Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I got it mixed up with the other one, the other big house that we went to.
The White House.
No.
What's that?
The other one.
The other big house.
Like the one that we can see from the bridge driving up?
Oh, yeah. You mean upstate?
Yeah.
Oh, Olana.
That one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got Monticello and Olana mixed up.
Well, they're both.
They're both pretty similar.
I mean, yeah, Monticello was a little bit earlier
and bigger and like.
Yeah, arguably. But what did you learn at Monticello?
Jefferson was a big hypocrite.
He was? In what way?
Trying to end slavery, but he had like 110 slaves.
Yeah, I don't know how aggressive he was in trying to end slavery. What else did you learn there?
America was built off of slavery.
Do tell.
Without slavery, it would be a poor country.
And how did you get that from there?
Because they were doing all the work for Jefferson. Jefferson was being a fat pig.
I don't remember when they exactly said that. I mean, he had some good traits too, right?
Sort of. Really?
No, Saul, you're on the money here.
I mean, like, he was so lazy that his bed was in a wall. I don't know why, but he had a little string that he could pull to unlock the door.
That is actually true. I appreciate that.
He was so lazy.
That's true. He did, but do you remember why he built the bed basically in the wall?
No, I don't. And also, it was like a sitting up bed.
Well, people were a little bit shorter.
Well, no.
And that indigestion.
No, he was like. He was tall. Yeah, he was like 6 foot.
Oh,
and he had like a sitting down bed. Like the guy giving us the tour was like, no, yeah, Jefferson liked to sleep sitting down, not laying down.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So lazy.
They did that because of heartburn, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Still works, kind of.
Yep. You're supposed to elevate yourself. You get one of those foam pillows.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we got to start to wrap stuff up a little bit. But is there anything that you feel like we haven't covered that we should cover, or what?
You and Jefferson have something in common.
Oh God.
You're a fat pig.
How long you been waiting to say that?
Wait, yeah.
Yeah. How you getting home again today?
Dad, I'm not lying to you. There's tears in my eyes. What you can see?
You're laughing so hard that you're crying?
Look, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. You think you can get away with talking to me that way?
Well, okay. Okay, I'm just gonna give you my last goodbye. I'll see you when I'm 80.
No, you'll be back. You'll be back maybe in a year from now, or maybe sooner.
Can
Maybe-
I just like stay here?
What do you mean?
I'll sleep here. Because I don't want to walk by myself alone home.
Oh, you know how you gonna? What makes you think that the door is gonna be open when you get home? Like, what makes you think you can actually walk home,
Oh.
as opposed to just keep walking until you find a place that?
Okay, fair point. Yeah. No, yeah, you are a little bit lazy, Dad.
I'm a little what? All right. Well, Saul, this has been, I think, a fair debate. Do you feel like you got a fair chance to express your side?
No.
No? Why?
I need longer.
You need more time?
Yes.
What, is there anything in particular you want to talk about, though? I mean,
Yeah.
What?
You're a fat pig.
I'm getting slammed in this debate. Hmm.
No, vote who won the debate.
Oh, you want people to vote on who won the debate between us?
Yeah.
I see.
Check the comment.
Check the comments.
I'll check them here.
It's pretty obviously Saul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is everyone saying Saul?
Yeah.
Dad, you suck.
You're like
No
drunk
mercy,
with power.
No
You put
mercy
this
for
with these guys.
Sam. Saul won. Win Saul.
W Saul.
Oh, yay.
Got him.
Thank you.
All right. Well, any closing statement? I mean, aside from that,
Okay.
yeah, I know that one. I know that one. We covered that one. Yeah.
You have a pretty cool office.
Do you know who? Oh, thank you. Do you know who Elon Musk is?
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate him.
Why?
Terrible dude.
In what way?
He's just mean.
Yeah. All right.
Too
Fair.
rich. He's like, buy everything on the planet.
Yeah. Good for you.
It sucks too, because like, I want to love Tesla. Like, I love the cars. But I don't want to just because he owns it.
Interesting.
There'll be cooler ones that come out, I think.
Yeah, but like, it's like such a cool car. But I hate him, so.
All right. Well, I think that's good that you can sort of divorce sometimes like the product from the person. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Saul, I feel like we had a good exchange. I can't wait to talk to you again in a year.
Okay.
And in the meantime, good luck with 5th grade.
Wait, Dad.
Yeah.
Come over here real quick.
No, I'm not walking.
Okay,
over
just ruffle your hair. Ruffle your hair.
ruffle it, like
No, like.
muss it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
More.
Okay.
You look like a hobo.
Okay. Thank you.
You look like you just survived. You went on a survival trip with Bear Grylls and broke your face. It's so messed up.
I don't even know what any of that means. I don't know who Bear Grylls
Oh
is.
my god.
All right. Well, Saul Seder.
No, get alive.
Wow. All right.
You don't know who anybody is on this planet.
Okay.
Do you know who your own daughter is?
Yeah, I do.
Who? That's what I thought.
Let me just Google it.
Okay.
All right. Well, do you want to say? You want to do the sign off?
What's the sign off?
Well, you say, "Good job, Matt. Good job, Emma.
Good job, Matt. Good job, Emma. Bad job, Dad.
Thank you. Good job, Bradley in abstention.
I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Neither do I.
I'm just gonna say, good job, Bradley.
Yeah. All right. And Emma will be here tomorrow. I'll be back on Friday.
Yeah, I'm putting him through torture tomorrow, even though I'm gonna be at school. But I'm just gonna find a way. He gets tortured at home.
Who does?
You.
Oh.
That's
yeah.
why he looks so bad. He gets no girls. Yet he has a girlfriend.
All right. Saul Seder, everyone. Saul, have a great school year. Thanks for all your help. Saul, I got to say also,
I organized his stuff.
Saul organized all our pens. He cleaned up all the pens that were on the floor. And
No, Dad, can I go run over and grab you all the Sharpies that were on the ground? I can do it. Thank you. It's those 2 cups up there.
Okay. I mean, there was a lot of Sharpies.
There was a lot of Sharpies, like under this desk.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get your life together.
I know it. Yeah. That's me, too. These are...
Well, no, it was more under him. You had like 3 under your desk.
Yeah. These are... Saul collected all these.
It's a lot.
Well, I want to thank you for all the organizational work you did around here.
Also, because of that, I want a free, really clicky keyboard.
Yep.
Let's go.
You got the clicky
You like the
keyboard.
clicky ones? I just got a silent one.
Oof. Sucks to suck.
I mean, I wanted the silent one, but whatever.
All right, take it easy, Chief. All right, folks. We will see you tomorrow. Saul, good luck this year at school.
I'll see you next year.
All right, folks. We will see you tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the light bar, but finding out won't make me feel any better. Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright. I guess somewhere the choice was made for the option where you don't get paid, for the road that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive